Hi again. We're going to go over another basic form. This is basics number 3, and this one's called the lead paint disclosure. Also, not required, but prudent to have. Let's call it that. You will, from time to time, hear another agent from another company say the lead paint disclosure is not required, because, and it says it right here, the dwelling was built prior to 1978. So that's when, if you have a building that was required, if you have a house, a property that was built before 1978, you absolutely need this form. To Delaware law, if it was built after 1978, you don't really need it. However, in this day and age where people are very litigious and you never know what's going on, I require it, that you have it. It's a one-page document. Let me scroll down. There we go. That's all there is to it. It's a one-page document, easy peasy to fill out. Get it filled out. Why? Well, they're not supposed to have been selling lead paint, and you never know what's on the walls. Lead paint traditionally can be found in a number of different things, but usually it's in those older buildings where you have bright white, shiny window sills and window frames. It's usually was done in that. That's the lead is what made it that bright, shiny white, glossy white. That's where you see it in a lot of older homes. But you know, in the state of Delaware, we have an Air Force base. What if somebody, without knowing, was overseas, picked up some of this paint, brought it back because it can be sold somewhere else, and said, boy, look at how glossy and shiny this is. This is what they all use over there, wherever there was. And they bring it back and put it in. It's, you know, they did this in 1998. Well, that's certainly past this, 1978. And, you know, when you go to the court of law over this issue, your defense of who would think that they would find a can of paint overseas and use it is just not going to hold up. So I say, I don't care what other agents say, get it signed. Now, it's again like the radon, 2 parts. The listing agent, and interestingly, there's no address on this. So it's, again, the seller's agent, the listing agent will have the top half filled out. Now, what they're going to do is they're going to check off some boxes. So you just want to explain this to them. I'll tell you right now that of all the forms I have to review all the time, this formed lead paint is the most incomplete form. This is the one I usually have to bounce back to agents to get done. So I'm going to go over this on each section here so that we know. Is there presence of lead-based paint? And, you know, they're going to be, yeah, I know it. Nope, I have no knowledge. So they're going to click one or the other here. Okay, it's letter A. I guess that's what it is. Yeah. Here's the tricky part. They need to initial it. All right, now it's set up in this PDF maker as a form, but you're not going to put anything in there. They're actually going to sign it, whether it's through dot loop, which is an electronic signature, or through a blue pen or a pen. I don't think it has to be blue, but I very often see that they'll check one and not initial, or they will initial and not check. They have to check one or the other, not both. I know or I don't know. The second part here, it's B, records and reports. I have reports and I made them available. I don't have any reports. And guess what they're going to do? They have to check one or the other. This is what the listing agent has their sellers filled out, and they're going to initial it. So as a listing agent, you're going to want to make sure when you have this top section done that there's going to be 2 initials, and really if there's 2 people or 3 people on the deed who are signing this listing agreement, all 3 need to initial. So I'm sorry that box is there that you could type in. Just have them initial around here, okay, so that they're initialing section A and initialing section B. Okay, and they have a little room here that they could write something if they need to there too. All right, now let's just scroll down to the bottom. Certification of accuracy. The seller or sellers are going to sign it. So they initialed up here and they're signing it down here. And of course they're going to date it. You want them to date these things. Now you are going to sign it as the listing agent. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to initial it. Now this is for the listing agent. Okay, the agent has informed the seller of the seller's obligations under that and aware of his or her responsibility to ensure compliance. There is some reports out, some PDFs that you can hand out if you want, but basically what that means is I've explained this document to him and what lead paint is, and that there shouldn't be any in the house, and then you're going to initial it. So very often I see where an agent, a listing agent, forgets to initial this, and or they initial it and forget to sign it. So let's review so far, because this is a tricky form. The sellers are going to click one of these two choices in A, one of these two choices in B, initial A and initial B for whatever choice they pick. You as the listing agent are going to sign it. Oh, the seller will sign it and date it. Seller will sign it and date it. You're going to sign it as the listing agent, and you're going to click this. Now, what if you're the buyer's agent? Well, you're going to go into the MLS, go to the listing, and there should be a little button there that you'll see for documents. Find that button for the documents, and you're going to usually have 3 documents in there, and I've mentioned this in other previous lessons: the radon disclosure, the lead paint disclosure, which is what we have in front of us, and the seller's disclosure property condition. There may be more documents in there, but those are the 3 you absolutely need to present an offer. So now you're going to have, as the buyer, let's turn it around, you're going to download that form. It's not going to be blank. It shouldn't be blank. If it is blank, call the listing agent. Say, well, it's blank. You have one that's filled out. Sometimes, agents make mistakes, and they don't know it till you come in with the first offer and downloaded that form. But you're going to have a filled out form here, 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 and here. That's what you'll have as the buyer's agents. Now, you're going to, and let's just see if I can increase this here a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, that looks better. Get rid of that box there at the bottom. There we go. You're going to have your purchasers acknowledge this. Okay, so the purchaser has received copies of all information above. That's if there's any records or reports. The purchaser has received the pamphlet, Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home. Again, that's a PDF. There's hard copies of that too, but that's a PDF. You should always keep that in a folder so that you know you can get that to them. And the purchaser has, scroll up, received a 10-day opportunity or agreed upon to conduct a risk assessment or inspection for the property, or waived the opportunity. I always suggest, I would rather be more cautious. I suggest that they get any and all inspections. Don't be the real estate agent who says, you don't need it. Don't worry about it. Why would you need it? Give them the option. Now, they don't have to do it. So when you click this, when they will click this, this is what you always want your purchasers to click. You don't want this. Regardless, whether it's a brand new home or something that's 1 year old, or you're purchasing a standing model home, they have the opportunity, and that will be in the agreement of sale. Now with that, this is not saying, this is how you explain it to your buyers, we're not saying you're going to have one, but you can if you want. Let's say something happens down the road, you have some suspicions, you can have it. By clicking this, you can't have it. something happens down the road. So this is not implying or saying that you will definitely have it. This is just saying I can if I want, and that's the best way to explain it. But look what they have to do here. They have to initial these here. All right, so there should be 3 initials here. All right, just let them initial 1, 2, 3 and click one of these. That's your buyer. Okay, you don't have to do this. The listing agent did this. The purchaser will sign it, but I would sign it right here as the agent and date it. So your homework, pull this form out, take a look at it. There's not much reading here, but just understand my philosophy is, and here, this is a good philosophy for new agents in real estate. I had a broker once tell me, sometimes forms and documents and signed documents, the slang is paper. So do you have paper on that? In other words, do you have something signed? You know, hey, I'm supposed to get $3,000 commission. Do you have paper on that? In other words, do you have some sort of agreement? So I had a broker who once said, and I just love this saying, you could never have, in real estate, you could never have too much paper, but it's real easy to have not enough. And this is one of those perfect examples of it. So 1-page form, get it filled out. This is the one I usually bounce back more often than not, just because there's so many little check boxes and places to sign. When you put a listing up into our management system, SkySlope, I'm going to be looking to make sure that there's 2 initials and one of these check boxes in A is checked, one of these check boxes in B is checked. Then I'm going to look to see if you initialed it, and I'm going to look to see if your seller signed it, dated it, and you as agent signed and dated it. If not, I'm going to bounce it back to you and just say, you left out a form. I understand we all miss stuff once in a while, and that's fine. You left out a form. As a buyer's agent, when you put up a transaction for a sale of a property that's not your property, I'm going to want to see that this is completed. I'm going to suggest, if it's not completed, that you get the other side, the listing agent, to complete it. But I'm going to make sure that you have these 3 initials. One of these is checked, that your seller, both sellers, if there's 2 sellers, if there's 3 sellers, sign it, and you sign it over here as well. And that's the lead paint.